Let's take a delve into the memory banks of our intrepid leader, Mr. Withers. Wind the clocks back to 1981, when Norman Guyver set up a company called Microcache. Believe it or not, our system started its journey as an application for managing squash ladders, here at the local squash club in Wallingford. Clearly, one small squash club wasn't going to make a business, but private gyms were on the rise in the 80s, and with it, the need to manage memberships. Anyone in the room remember Microcache DOS? Out of the private gym market, the private leisure centre market started becoming competitive and businesses in their own right, rather than simply providing a service. Here's one of our sites that opened in 1988. This is the Galleon Leisure Centre in Kilmarnock. Some classic architecture, I'm sure you'll all agree. It was all around this time that the development team were conjuring up Merlin. Was it a bird? Was it a plane? No. Merlin was the prototype for Microcache's first Windows application, Clubman NT. We're now moving well into the memory bank of more staff. Hands up for Clubman NT. Unfortunately, our filing systems don't seem to go back as far as 1997, although I did check the training notes to see if all of their images were up to date. Instead, Google Images kindly provided some recommendations. Believe it or not, scrolling down the page did reveal this one for Clubman NT. By now, leisure centres were becoming real commercial propositions and computers were driving efficiencies. Microcache introduced SQL replication to cope with the multi-site requirements of a certain client called Greenwich Leisure. Then everything starts happening quickly. In 1999, Microcache sold out to Gladstone, and a year later, Gladstone purchased MemberTrack. With MemberTrack came CenterMaster, a product created before a certain salesman was probably even born, but one which Jack has only just finished replacing in the marketplace. So here's a simple piece of maths for you. In 2001, the synonymous MemberTrack product was combined with Clubman NT, and a new product was created that would come to dominate the UK market. That product was, of course, +2. The majority of leisure provision at this time was still in the hands of the councils, and the UK government drove forward with IT strategies designed to accelerate the use of technologies by businesses. A deadline was implemented, and councils had to offer all booking systems online. Gladstone were well positioned to do this with Connect. Even 16 years ago, self-service was high on the agenda, and Kiosk and then Pocket joined the Gladstone portfolio. Under the jurisdiction of the new CEO, Saeed Saeed, Gladstone started a new venture, Orbit. It was to be a complete replacement product that would completely remove +2 from the marketplace. Whilst Orbit did at least make it to one live customer, somewhere in deepest, darkest Sunderland of all places, its lifespan was to be cut short. In 2010, Gladstone was bought out by Jonas and their holding company, CSI. Alas, we weren't to be branded CSI Glasgow or CSI Wallingford, but Saeed did go off into Orbit whilst Orbit itself was put on the shelf. With our knight in shining teeth installed safely at the helm, a bold and yet brilliant decision was made over 5 years ago that is now allowing us to introduce new product and new modules without the customers losing their all-important data. +2 was not to go off serenely into the sunset. Rather, we started on a mission to build a new product around this very same database. It was time to change the wheels on a moving car. 2010 was the dawn of a new age in development. Products were released thick and fast. Join at Home, IQ, Business Process Manager and Mobile Pro, to name just a few. It's worth taking a pause at this juncture just to summarise the development pathway to date. 1981 was the introduction of the squash ladder system. 1984 saw Microcache DOS. By 1997, we were into the realms of Clubman NT, and 2001 saw the birth of +2. Shortly after the Jonas buyout in 2011, Gladstone was selling +2, Member Web Services, Energy, Connect and Kiosk. Now, just 5 years later, we are selling all of these. Which brings us nicely up to where we are now. Come June, we are going to be taking a single groundbreaking product to the leisure market to cover all the requirements of the modern day leisure operator. That product will be Gladstone 360.